Hi, my name's Adrian, and in this video I've got something cool for you guys. I've got this NFC card reader and some NFC cards. We're going to jump into React Native and see how we can start using these. Now, don't worry if you haven't heard of NFCs before. I'll take you through that and some of their applications and features. Now, if you like this kind of content, you want to see more like it, hit like and hit subscribe. And let's get back to the video. So what is NFC and where are NFC cards used? Well, NFC stands for Near Field Communication. It's a way to communicate between devices wirelessly over 4 to 5 centimeters. And you've probably been using them already for credit card payments wirelessly. On top of that, there are other devices and uses for them. For example, if you've got some AirPods and you just touch them next to your phone, you'll find that they automatically connect to the Bluetooth. That's achieved through NFC. There's a lot more uses to them, and they're really cool in terms of technology because they're free and most phones these days are actually compatible with their technology. So let's have a look at some of their use cases and see what we can do with them. NFC cards have quite a few different types of functionalities, such as connecting to a Bluetooth device, such as your AirPods, or doing wireless payments through a credit card. You can also do things like send a message or a picture, but also send someone to a map location or a direction. I think that the ability to prompt someone to download an app, whether it's on the iOS or the Android stores, is also another really cool, useful thing. You could put that at a storefront so that if someone goes to that store, they simply swipe over the NFC card and they're prompted to download that app, as well as in-app communication for certain functionality, such as swipe on this NFC card to get your Pokemon. Really, the opportunities for using it is up to you, and we're going to take a look at some of those examples as well as the differences between iOS and Android. Alright, so let's start completely fresh. What we'll do is open up Terminal and install a new React Native project. We'll cd into our GitHub directory, and in here we'll run npx react-native init, and maybe we'll call this NFC example. Let's apply that and open it up. This will install React Native along with all its dependencies. It'll take a little bit, so I'll probably just fast forward this bit in the YouTube video. Great, so that's finished. We can browse into this directory now by browsing into NFC example. Great. Now let's open up Chrome and let's browse to our package. This is called react-native-nfc-manager, and we'll browse the GitHub version of it, which is over here. This is created by WhiteDog13. If we scroll down here and have a look at the instructions for installation, we're running React Native version 0.60 and above. So we'll just copy this command in here and put it into our terminal. This will install the dependency, and again, it should just take a few seconds. And while that's happening, let's see what else we have to do. So for the setup here, it says that we have to browse into iOS and install the pods. On top of that, we might have to link it if we're running an older version of React Native. And finally, if we're running iOS, we'll need to enable the NFC requirements and capabilities. So let's copy over the pod install to start off with. Let's go in here, and this is almost finished. With that done, let's install the pods. And that's also done, which was really quick. Now, in order to finish this iOS section, we'll need to open up Xcode. Let's do that now. In here, let's open up NFC example. And what we'll want to do is we'll want to go to the project folder and go to signing and capabilities. In here, we'll want to select a team, and I'm just going to pick myself as a personal project and select the plus capabilities up here. Here we can type in NFC, and that's empty, so we'll type in near. So near field communications. That'll add the capability to our project, which is great. Next, I want to open up my iPhone. To do that, I'm going to open up QuickTime, and I'm just going to start a movie recording. And in here, I'll select my iPhone. It should shut up anytime now. There we go. with those two things done, let's see what else we need to do. So here, there's one more requirement which we have to do. We have to add this line here into our info.pt list. So let's do that. We'll jump into VS Code and we'll browse into our directory. Let's open it up here. Then we'll need to go to the iOS folder, go into our project and go to info.pt list. In here, let's add that line just below the requirements. Beautiful. Let's save that, and that should be all the steps for the setup complete now. I guess let's run our project and see if it builds. Let's make sure everything else is done over here, and we'll just select our iPhone at the top over here. And let's pull it up in QuickTime on the right here so you can see if the build completes. This will just take a second, so I'm going to fast forward this bit as well. Great, so that seems to have built successfully. Let's see if we can actually launch it. It should launch automatically, and it looks like it has. It's just loading up the base React Native. So if that didn't work, I would be worried. But in this case, it has, which is a good sign. Let's now jump into VS Code and have a look at our base file, which is over here. We probably don't need all of this, so I'm just going to remove all of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at this first example for the library. Let's copy all of this, and I'll go through more or less what it is and what it's doing. Let's paste this here into VS Code and click Save. So we've got an error here. Looks like this example isn't labeled properly, so let's fix that up. And simply the library wasn't being referenced properly. So that seems to have fixed it, and now we can take a look at what it's doing. So here it's pulling in the NFC Manager and the NFC events, and on mount it's listening for those and starting the process, and then on unmount it's stopping listening to those. Then we have a touchable opacity button here that runs a test and runs a cancel. For the cancel, it simply stops listening for tag events, but for the test, it actually starts listening for registered tag events, and then if it has an error, it just console logs them. So let's try to press the button over here and see what happens. Don't know if you can see that, but I've just pressed the button there, and it's now ready to scan an NFC card, which is pretty cool. Now, if I hit cancel on this and I click cancel on that, it'll stop the test. But I've got an NFC card over here, so let's see if that works. I'm going to hit the scan button, and I'm just going to put them here and see what happens. Great. So as you can see, it got the tag. It sends that information out to console, and we can see here that it's displaying it, which is cool. This doesn't do much for us in this case because this is more application driven and it's more about capturing events. But the cool stuff is when you can start writing and reading tags and applying them in practice. So let's have a look at the second example. Let's go back here and have a look at this example for iOS and Android writing. We'll copy over this text and have a look at what it's doing. Let's put this into our VS Code. And let's update the library name over here. React-native-nfc-manager. Great. So if we have a look over here for our QuickTime project, it looks mostly the same, but in this case we're writing something to the NFC tag. Let's have a look at how we're doing that. We're building a URL in this case and encoding it to the tag. So this function here is doing the encoding. Over here, when our component starts, we also start the NFC Manager and obviously clean it up once it unmounts. In here, we run the test NFC function, and if we scroll down here, we can have a look at what it's doing. In this case, it's starting the NFC technology to write a tag, and then after that, it's having a look at what the current tag is. It's building the new tag here by building the URL payload. And in this case, I might want it to go to my channel. So let's go Adrian Tuaro YouTube. We'll select my channel over here and let's copy the URL. Let's paste that in here and save it. And then let's test this out. I'm going to select test NDEF and I'm going to put the card against it and see if it writes. There. It says that it's written the tag. So that means now if I scan the card, it should take me to my YouTube channel. Let's try that out. There we go. Let's tap that. And there, we're going straight to my channel. That's really cool. That means that I could put this NFC card anywhere now. And as soon as people tap on it, they'll come to my channel and maybe even subscribe. Let's jump back here and see what other things we can do. So in here, building NFC tags have a lot of options. We don't just have to build a tag that takes you to a URL. You can pass in images, text, you can pass in even custom payloads that as soon as someone selects can have a dynamic effect on your application. It's really up to you on how you use it. You could even have a web page which dynamically takes you to an app download, whether you're on Android or on iPhone. So this gives you a quick and simple understanding of how the NFC tags practically work. There's a lot more options to them. So we could, for example, do something different, such as phone someone. Let's run tell and let's put in a phone number here and see if that works. We'll apply this as a tag and I'm going to apply this to the tag we're currently using. So it says that we got the tag. Not sure if it wrote to it, but let's test it out. Great. So now we can see that by tagging this now, you can actually call someone. It's pretty simple syntax and you can find that syntax online essentially, but that's just another function you could, for example, do. I understand that some people might not want to do all the manual heavy lifting through React Native. So if you buy your own NFC card reader and you buy your own NFC cards, you can just do this through some apps, whether you're on Windows or on Mac. In this case, I'm on Windows and I'm using an application called GoToTags for Windows. It's a pretty simple application, and if I scan my card over here, I can create a new record. So in this case, I'm going to create a new record over here. And I'm going to take them to a website. For this website, I might take them to my channel, which is over here. And I'll just type in Adrian Tuarog. If I apply this and then I simply encode the NFC tag, I can simply scan it and this will apply the tag. So then the next time I scan this tag, it'll take me straight to the website, which is really cool. I hope this video gives you a better idea of just how useful NFC cards are and how to get started using them. I personally love to use them just for being able to have someone easily download an app if they're at a business location. But what are some of the uses you would use them for? Leave it in the comments below. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more like it, hit like and hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.